Okay, so for any of you that have received a demo of Shield Vision before, this may look familiar. For those of you that haven't, this is Shield Vision, our internal hunting tool. Let me go ahead and zoom out of the way there. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about a couple items in this configuration menu. For this first demo, I'm going to go ahead and show an instance of taking some data from NetWitness and utilizing it to block a service inside of SentinelOne. To just kind of show up front what we're going to be working with here, we have a couple demo things set up just to make this go off a little bit easier. We're going to be querying NetWitness to look for this specific .5.20 IP address. And if I go ahead and hop over into Sentinel here, or SentinelOne, excuse me, you'll see that the device I have up here is that same .5.20 IP address, and it is currently connected, meaning it has not been quarantined. So ideally, by the end of this, without having to come back in here all too much, we will have a nice quarantine device taken off of the network. To get started, we really wanted to build something that was very quick to implement. We've all kind of seen the idea of playbooks in the past, and threat response is no different. This area is what we call response templates. That's just kind of our name for playbooks. For this demo, I'm going to be showing kind of creating a playbook up front and then implementing the last 10% on a customer itself to show how you might take something that is kind of pre-finished, customize it for the individualized use case, and then kind of deploy it to a customer's environment. So to get started here, go ahead and just give it a name, NetWitness to SentinelOne template, and we can go ahead and start adding nodes. We have this add node button here in the top right. When we click on that, it pulls up this lovely list of integrations that we have built out. Each of these are color-coded depending on what type of card they are. This is an area that is very rapidly growing. Right now, we do have support for things like Mimecast, Carbon Black, SentinelOne. We'll be seeing a little bit more of that Carbon Black one a little bit later, as well as Defender and Azure playbooks in here right now. We do have a couple more that are getting ready to come out in the future. And then to kind of get started, we're actually looking at these two trigger items here. In our case, what I showed a moment ago is a automated scan in our system. So I'm going to go ahead and select an automated scan trigger to indicate that we would like to consume data from that part of the application. And then it's going to ask us for some sort of meta key. In this case, looking at it beforehand, I know that the item we're pulling is the IP.source from NetWitness. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in and tell the flow here that we want to get started with that. We can go ahead and pop back into this add node area, and we're going to be looking for things from SentinelOne. In this case, we would like this SentinelOne quarantine item. It's going to go ahead and give us a nice little pop-up and ask us where we want to be getting that IP address from. Tell it the IP.source, whatever we're pulling in that case is what we want to take a response on. And at that point, it's as easy as connecting the two together. We'll show a little bit later on some of these other lovely cards in here, like the conditionals in our next demo. But for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and keep this one nice and simple. So this is just kind of, very basic. We take an IP address, we block it in SentinelOne. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and we'll see that I now have a template populated over here. In order to actually get that applied to a client, say somebody reaches out to us and says, hey, I have these two services. I want to go ahead and block when we see this type of traffic. We already have some sort of content available on that. We can come in to the client. In this case, we have just our Datashield client with our demo environments, and we can assign a new automated response. And we're going to be, let's see, quarantine. Oh, I cannot spell today. That is quarantine in SentinelOne from NetWitness. And we get the option here for templates. So if we have something already that accomplishes that 90%, we can just come in here, quickly grab it, assign it to that scan that I showed earlier, and say, hey, anytime that this triggers and has an IP.source, we want to go ahead and fire this. We can go ahead and assign a template or an individualized response to every piece of content that we have built this way in your system. So if we want to, if you want to kind of customize based on the type of traffic you're seeing, that's totally doable. And this will look super familiar. This is what we just created. It has pulled the data in. It has pulled the data in and allowed us to start utilizing this for customization. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and double clicking. There we go. And I'm actually going to go ahead and add in one of our specialty cards. Dave talked about this here a moment ago, but something called Analyst in the Loop. What we've heard from a lot of clients about threat response and about SOAR as a whole is it sounds really fantastic, but there's a little bit of apprehension when it comes to kind of letting an entire automated system loose in your environment at first. And that's totally understandable. So we've built this idea of the Analyst in the Loop, which allows us to put it in line, and anything that comes after that card will be sent to an analyst for review before it takes any actions. If you wanted to, you could theoretically put a couple cards on the left-hand side, a couple cards on the right-hand side, really build this out however you want. And at any point that it comes across one of these, it'll go ahead, save everything that's in progress, drop it off to one of our analysts in a ticket, and have them review before it continues. So later on, we'll be showing how that might be used for possibly keeping one of your business critical boxes online. But for the time being, I'll go ahead and just kind of demo the environment here. We'll go ahead and hit save. And now this has been assigned to the client. If we hop back on over to the client here and scroll on down, we can see that I have Quarantine and SentinelOne from NetWitness assigned to that SentinelOne demo scan from earlier. Go ahead and click through. In order for this to actually fire, I need to go ahead and turn this on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. We'll go ahead and enable that automated scan. And when I do that, it will automatically start kicking off scans based on the window that we have here. We'll give it just a moment to go ahead and run our system. You can see here that it's actually already finished, and it did pull one result count. If we click into here to see the results, we can actually see that based on that Analyst in the Loop, the automated response's status currently is paused. If I go ahead and expand this out, it gives us some information about it. It tells us, hey, the IP.source that we're looking to consume here is that .5.20 IP address. Fantastic, we hit the right one. The response related to it is currently paused. We can see that in two different places here, just to make sure that it is clear. If we'd like, we can go ahead and click on this and get a nice little pop-up that shows us what actions we will be taking. This is an interface that we are slowly designing out more to make it more obvious which ones are pending and which ones have been taken. But for the time being, it does allow you to review the entire flow. And then last but not least, we have these lovely approve and deny buttons. Obviously, if an analyst looks over this, determines, hey, that's something that we've been told is business critical, we can go and hit deny, cancel that out, stop these actions from being taken. But in this case, we actually want to go ahead and approve it. And you can see here that it is now running. We'll give that just a moment to do what it needs to in the background. And from there, we should be hopefully good to go. Okay, let me go ahead and pop over here, and you can see that with the network status, it is now disconnected from the network. It has been quarantined in the system and has been taken offline by threat response. Yeah, fantastic. That's really it there. Let me make sure if I haven't yet that I disable this so that we're not continuing to try to isolate that one. We do have a response level whitelist set up, so we will try to avoid what we call double tapping as much as possible. If that was to trigger over and over again hitting that same IP address, our system will recognize that it's already taken actions against that IP address and will stop it from trying to do it over and over again. So yeah, with that, I will go ahead and hand it off to Caleb Waters, one of our R&D developers, to go ahead and show off the next demo.